All right, so this is The Wire, season three, episode three. I know I'm saying in that voice. I'm pretty alert right now. I mean, I'm not groggy or anything. Switched my jobs. Well, I got a different job. Anyway, a little too personal. So I made a mistake and I watched this particular episode. Well, not necessarily a mistake. Things happen. I watched this episode over 2 days, so I was thinking my memory would be a little bit foggy. So I was gonna bite the bullet and just rewatch the episode, but then I started rewatching. I was like, yeah, I saw this already. I don't know. My brain just works like that for some reason. So anyway, I want to talk about Herc and Elias first. Now these two guys, they felt underappreciated. These are they're from the cop side. They felt underappreciated from this special task force that's been curated from basically the first season of The Wire. So one of them has gotten promoted, and he decides to take his friend over to a place where I guess he can get more respect or just have a position of power. And they're over there doing their thing. They pretty much don't come up in they pretty much don't come up in uh in the season too often so far. It's only the third episode, mind you, but uh the reason I think they play such an important part, it causes the interaction with them and Kima and McNutty, um, causes them to go back to Kima's old undercover. Now, I've been waiting to see what and where this relationship will go with these two people. I mean, waiting to see what, because he did such great work in the first season because of how his friend was treated, and there's a relationship between those two uh, that's quite good. I'm waiting to see. I'm just waiting to see how it plays out. It'd be interesting, at least to me. Um, that's the only reason I bring them up. I mean, and because I just learned these two characters' name, I should have put the same amount of effort into learning these two characters' names as I did as I should for the two new characters that are, well, actually there's three new characters in this season so far, but the two that I'm going to talk about right now, I feel like he's on the police side as well, but he's over Herc and Elias. He's their boss, but he's going out for retirement pretty soon. So he's taking a big risk, and it looks like what he's planning on doing. I wasn't really following earlier in the episode, but now it's been unveiled what his plan is. His plan is to, well, let me try to go back and start over. So he starts talking about how a paper bag changed the perception of a wino or somebody who's an alcoholic because you put your beverage inside that bag, and you don't know what's in there. I mean, you have a pretty good guess of what's in there, but you don't know what's in there. So anyway, he's like, what if he did that with drugs? It's not making any sense while he's saying it, and the episode continues after that, and I'm like, pretty much leaves my mind. And then it gets revisited later on in the episode, and he's essentially giving free reign to these drug dealers, but he's concentrating them all in one area, like they were as far as the towers were concerned. But his plan is to do that in a smaller scale and to have business as usual, business booming and all that. But then come in there and just wipe them all out. Which now I'm so interested to see how he's going to pull this off, because you can't necessarily give somebody the keys or something like, here, go ahead and do your drugs out of here, and it's like too good to be true. Of course, it's too good to be true. They're not going to fall for it, but I'm assuming that if you have leverage and you implement some type of pressure towards these individuals and push them to there where they have no other choice, then that will probably work. So you have that. Oh, and this other new character he played in Game of Thrones. I don't know the guy's name. He's like a councilman, I think, or something like that. Something along the lines of that. Of course, that one pretty much writes itself. Of course he's a silver tongued devil when it comes to negotiations, and he's willing, dealing, going behind people's backs, trying to undercut people, just to scrape and scratch his way to the top, basically. And of course, they show his infidelities and things of that nature, and it's like, okay, whatever. I'm not interested at all to see where that character goes because, like I said, it pretty much writes itself. But on the other hand, I'm interested to see how it plays into the other roles because if there's one thing that The Wire has done and done well is it's opened at least my eyes the uh, towards the ins and outs of the police department, at least in that particular area. And I know that things have definitely been changed in order to juice it up and make it more entertaining as far as for as far as entertainment purposes. Right, that makes sense. So I know there's some things that have probably changed, but it's interesting to see. It's interesting to see. It's interesting to see how these characters are evolving, especially the police officers. And I mean, not necessarily trying to exclude the hustler side of things, but it's interesting to see how they operate. Well, it's a possibility how they could possibly be operating. But I guess the biggest shocker to me is, I mean, I expected them to have issues, domestic type issues, and issues within themselves. I expected that to happen because everybody's human. But the thing that for me is surprising is how much alcohol they consume. It's like Jesus. But I think it makes sense though, uh, based on the amount of the amount of death and just people at their absolute worst that these individuals witness. And you would think they need something to cope with that. And it looks like a lot of them choose alcohol. Um, Now we can go forward a little bit. Well, we can go to something else. As far as the hustlers, there's not too many familiar faces as far as from season one, which I think is a good thing. But the individuals that are still hanging around from season one are involved in trying to gain new territory because, like I mentioned before, the place where they called home, these towers, they've been demolished, and now they're looking for street corners, and they've pretty much had their way with every corner except for one. And this guy's pushing back a little bit, and it's one thing to be like deadly in the streets, but it's another thing to be deadly and smart. So we've got that going on. Um, uh, it wasn't violent too, just close to the end of the episode. So now I'm really interested to see what's going to happen with that. I'm always interested to see what's going to happen. I think that's part of the appeal from that I get the mass appeal or the major the most appealing part of this series, The Wire. I'm always interested to see what's going to happen next. I think that bleeds over into any TV or movie. You're always interested to see what happens to the characters, right? Now, where was I going with this? I forgot my last thought. Jesus Christ! I forgot my last thought. Talked about the hustlers. Talk about the new hustlers. No, I forgot my last thought. That's too bad. I was talking about the hustlers. Let me see if I can try to remember it. So I'm talking about the hustlers and older ones. What about the new? Hmm, smart and calculated. Oh, I didn't speak about another new character. He's continuing on this path down memory lane, chasing ghosts. Basically, he's of course he went back home. He's seen his mom. He's trying to get a job. He's already linked up with some uh, old associates. He got beat out of a package. He's trying to find, like I said that twice. He's trying to job, and now he's chasing his old girlfriend. But she's moved on. Oh, now I remember what I was going to talk about. Let me finish this thought though. She's moved on, and trying to he's trying so hard to cope or grasp the reality. You know what I mean? Because I guess I think I've done that before. You've been through a really tough time, and you lean on the thought. of what if, as far as maybe it's a car, maybe it's a girlfriend, maybe it's a house, whatever. You lean on the thought of what if this could happen, and when you come to that point and that's not a reality, then you kind of it's worse than being let down. You're like you're crushed almost in that sense. I've been there, so watching him do that is it's pretty good, but not that good. I'll admit that. So the last and final thing I need to talk about is Omar. He's come back into the picture and he's lost one of his soldiers, and that's the title of the episode, 10 Soldiers. He's blinded by hatred. He's blinded by hatred and sorrow from the killing of his lover in like the second or first season. So he's continually trying to rob the Barksdale organization of their product and money, but he's blinded by that and he's making stupid mistakes. You run up in this building and expecting everything to be gravy, but you're outnumbered and you wind up losing one of your soldiers. And I think this is probably the only thing that I've saw outside of me watching the series in its entirety or trying to watch the series in entirety was this the aftermath of losing of her being murdered. Now he's got a pretty even bunch. He's got two females and his new lover and himself. So you got four individuals, and you lose one, and that was her best friend that is gone now. So you know you're still willing and dealing, but I mean she's overly heartbroken. I'm really interested to see what's going to happen between those guys. I think that's the only thing. I saw parts of that before I even started watching the series, so I kind of got an idea of what's going to happen, but I haven't seen it all the way through. So I'm ready to see. I'm ready to see. So if you like this, I've got more videos about The Wire. I'm starting new Futurama. I've got a few movies up now, and also I'm suffering through The Mandalorian. So yeah, go check those out and don't forget to subscribe.